Today we are going to speak about this play by Arthur Miller, this great American dramatist. His play entitled Death of a Salesman. Arthur Miller's play Death of a Salesman addresses the loss of identity and man's inability to accept change within himself and his society. The play is a mixture of memories, dreams, confrontations, and arguments. All of these make up the last 24 hours of Willie Lumen's life. The protagonist of this play is Willie Lumen, and the play takes place within only 24 hours, the final 24 hours in Willie Lumen's life. The play concludes with Willie Lumen's suicide and subsequent funeral. This very briefly, of course. Willie had an affair about 15 years earlier than the real time in which the play is set. And Arthur Miller, the writer of this play, focuses on this affair and its aftermath, its consequences, to reveal how individuals can be defined or shaped by a single event and their subsequent attempts to disguise, to put on a disguise, تخفي, or eradicate that event. In the case of Will Lumen, it is that relationship with that woman 15 years before. For example, prior to discovering that affair, Will's son, he has two sons, Beth and Happy. Will's son, Beth, and by the way, Beth is Will's adored son, more than Happy. Prior to discovering that affair, Beth believed all Will's stories. He believed the stories of his fathers, and even took for granted to Will's philosophy that anything is possible as long as a person is well liked. The realization that Willie is unfaithful to Linda, that he betrays his wife called Linda. This realization of this fact forces Beth to re-evaluate, reconsider Willie and Willie's perception of the world, to reconsider his opinion regarding his father and the perceptions he inherited from his father. So Beth realizes that Willie has created a false image of himself for his family, society, and even for himself. Willie isn't an invincible father. He isn't an invincible father, or a loyal husband, or a great successful salesman like he wants everyone to believe. He is not. He is self-centered. He fails to appreciate his wife, and he cannot acknowledge the fact that he is only marginally successful, slightly successful. Hence, Willie contemplates about lost opportunities. He thinks about lost opportunities of the past. And these lost opportunities were for wealth, fame, and success. And these are the basics of the so-called American dream: wealth, fame, success. Even so, it would be incorrect to state that Miller only criticizes Willie. No, it is more than that. Instead, Miller demonstrates how one individual can create a continuous cycle, a repeated cycle of fake ideals and dreams, fake ideals and dreams that expands to include, to include other individuals of society, beginning with his own family. At some point in the play, he cannot remember what happened in the past. So naturally, he doesn't understand why his relationship with Beth has deteriorated. He wants Beth's affection, love, and respect as before, but instead, the two, father and son, Willie and Beth, always constantly argue. Willie sometimes criticizes Beth's laziness and incompetence. Other times, he praises his physical abilities and ambition. On the other hand, Linda, his wife is Linda. Linda and Happy, his other son, are also drawn into the cycle of fake ideas and dreams by Willie, which Willie circulates among his own family and the entire society. Linda, his wife, is aware of Willie's habit of, recreating reality, remaking reality, okay, unreal reality, because of his inability to accept that reality. He cannot accept that fact that he is no more a successful salesman. He wants to evade that reality, as shown through his numerous suicide attempts. Many times he tries to commit suicide. These attempts were prior to the beginning of the play. As a result, Linda chooses to, she chooses to protect Willie's illusions, and instead of her facing his fake ideals and dreams which he perpetuates into the society, no, she helps protect these illusions by treating them as real, talking of them as being just real, even if she must ignore reality or alienate her children in doing so. She doesn't. Happy is also a product of Willie's philosophy. He's a victim of his father's philosophy, his fake ideals and principles. Like Willie, Happy, of course, he reconstructs or reshapes the truth, the reality, to create, a more favorable reality for himself, something that he can accept. For example, when Happy tells everyone that he is the assistant buyer, even though he's only the assistant to the assistant, an assistant of an assistant. Okay, he proves that he has incorporated Willie's practice of editing or changing facts. He has inherited that quality from his father, changing facts, recreating reality, reshaping the truth. Arthur Miller based Willie's character on his uncles. Of course, some questions might arise. Where did Willie actually get that ability of recreating reality, lying to his family and the entire society? Where did he get that? Miller based this fact, Willie's character, on his uncles. His uncles are Manny Newman and Lee Balzan. Manny and Lee. who were also salesmen in the past. Miller saw his uncles as independent, okay, independent explorers of new places across America. And here it is noteworthy that Miller doesn't reveal what type of salesman Willie is. Never throughout the entire play does Arthur Miller reveal to us what kind of sales, okay, does he do or buy or sell. Rather than drawing the audience's attention to what Willie sells, he never tells us what does he sell. Okay. As a result, he chooses instead. Arthur Miller. He chooses to focus on the fact that Willie is a salesman, only a salesman, and consequently, the writer, Miller, expands, okay, the impact of Willie's philosophy, perpetuates the impact of this philosophy of this unsuccessful salesman, Willie Lumen. His name is very symbolic. Willie Lumen. He has the will, but he is a low man. Belongs to the lower, or the bottom of the society, the bottom of the job or professional job. He draws him as an explorer or a conqueror of America, and at the same time as a dreamer. He has a dream, allowing the audience to connect him with everyone who has aspirations, dreams, and goals, ideals. So, Willie's despair results from his failure to achieve his American dream of success, just like anybody else in the American society at the time dreaming of making success. At one point in the play, Willie was a moderately successful salesman opening new works or new businesses across America, and Beth and Happy viewed him as a real model father. Once Beth discovers the affair of that woman, however, he loses respect and confidence as well. Respect for Willie, his father, as well as his own motivation to succeed. His ideal is broken down at this moment. As Willie grows older, making sales gets more difficult, of course, for him. So he attempts to rely on past successes, past successful sales by living once more, reliving old memories of salesmanship. He loses his ability to distinguish reality from fantasy or from imagination. He mixes between both in many scenes throughout the entire play. And this behavior alienates him from others, from other people, and thereby limiting his ability to survive in the present. He only survives in the past. He lives on those memories of the past. As the play proceeds forward, Willie's life becomes more disordered, more complicated, and he is forced to resort almost completely on the past. He resorts to the past, depends on that memories of the past, where order exists, okay, in his life, because he can reconstruct events, remake events, or relive old memories. The play continues to affect audiences because it allows them to hold, to hold a mirror up to themselves. They can see themselves on these pages of Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. They can, every one of them, can see himself in the character of Willie Luman, one with dreams of success, fame, and prosperity. Willie's self-depreciation, his sense of failure, of course, in the present, and overwhelming regret are emotions, sincere emotions that an audience, anytime and anywhere, can relate to because, can be connected to because, everyone has experienced them, the same emotions, at one time or another of his life. Although most people do not commit suicide, of course, in the face of such hardships, they are linked spiritually to Willie, because he is a man driven to doing so, driven by the society to do so. An audience may sympathize with Willie Luman because he believes he is left alone, of course, with no other options, very limited options, but to commit suicide. He has nothing to do but to contemplate about committing suicide. And he tried in the past many times, as I have just mentioned. On the other hand, an audience may disgust and get angry, of course, at Willie. Some of us may feel so towards that man, believing he abandoned his family and preferring instead an easy escape from reality by committing suicide. So Willie makes a mistake, one that changes his relationship with the people he loves most forever. At the final scene, he commits suicide, leaving the reality in which he has been thrown into by the American society and dreams of success, money, and prosperity. And when all of his attempts to make up his mistake fail, he makes one great attempt to correct that mistake, of course, by committing suicide. He in one of the best scenes ever in this play, he enthusiastically, emotionally denies Bev's claim that one of the claims of his son Bev, that they are both common, ordinary people. We are common, ordinary people. But Bev's statement, when he said that, I am a dime a dozen, and so are you, my father. This statement is proved, is finally, in the final act, in the final scene, is finally proved to be true. Thank you, and I encourage you to read the entire text at home.